Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Soul Creativity. Today's Soul Creativity is coming with a twist, and I'm so pleased that Laurie Lind put on her journalist cap for this evening. And we're going to turn the tables, and Laurie is going to actually interview me this evening because tomorrow I'm so excited to say that my very first documentary, She Brings the Fire, is going to premiere. So, Lori's going to be asking me some questions about the film in preparation for the premiere. So, welcome, Lori. Thank you so much.
Hi, Naven. Viewers who have explored your channel already might have noticed that you and I have talked on here before in your Across Genres creative writing series. Um, but today I'm returning to a role I played for 15 years for a newspaper local to my area and the role of journalist. So, although I've seen some of the advanced publicity for your documentary, that comes out tomorrow. She brings the fire. I'll be seeing it for the first time along with everyone else. So I figured if I could be your soul creativity conversation questioner for this week, I could ask some questions to get information out online on the eve of your premiere. So are you good to go?
Well, I'm good to go.
Okay. So first things first. So for starters, I had a question of where, when, and how people can find your documentary when
That's
the
a good
time
first question.
comes tomorrow.
Yeah, so it does premiere tomorrow, and it will be on this channel, my channel, Naven Liz on YouTube. And it's going to be accessible at 10 a.m., fingers crossed, as long as there's no technological glitches. It should be accessible at 10 a.m. and from then on. So tomorrow, Friday, December 10th.
That is great. So can you tell us briefly what it's about?
Yeah, it's a documentary in 5 stories, and there are 5 fantastic, amazing female way showers who tell their stories that are basically stories of transformation. And I think of them as, each woman telling her Shiro's journey. And they're told from the point of view, or the path is from that divine spark within. So that first recognition and tapping into the divine spark within, and then fanning or igniting that flame, bringing the fire, which is what I based the title of the documentary on. And bringing the fire means bringing that internal flame forward and actually creating something with that fire. And of course, the documentary, it's their stories. Each story is an individual story. They talk about challenges that they faced, about resources and support. They talk about how to keep the fire burning, which is about self-care. And of course, they offer some encouragements to viewers. So basically, that's it in a nutshell.
So there's a spiritual and self expansion kind of dimension to this
Yes,
film.
inspirational and, yes, spiritual.
Okay, so speaking of inspiration, what would you say was the inspiration for She Brings the Fire?
Well, it's an idea I've had for a lot of years, or at least a number of years. um, I would say that the desire for it, to create it, was my own sort of deep desire inside, that I really wanted to help other people with transformation because it's been an important part of my life. And most specifically, I wanted to help people be aware that the divine spark is within us, and it's in each of us, and we're not separate from source. And once we realize that, that opens the door that, for us to know that we can create positive transformation, not just for ourselves, but in the world. And the documentary, choosing that style is really a medium I'm attracted to. I love movies and films and documentaries. And I thought for this type of a project, I really felt like seeing and hearing the women, hearing the stories in their own voice was really beneficial to the viewer, to the for the outcome of the information. And originally, I didn't see any way that I could create a documentary. I didn't have the equipment, I don't have a camera. I wasn't sure how I was going to travel around and film. And oddly enough, during the pandemic pause, um, when everything was, shifting and people were finding new ways of doing things, it came to my attention that you could film on Zoom. Everyone was using Zoom. So Lisa Gunshore, one of the women in the film, um, also created a documentary. She actually has a documentary series called Awaken Grace. And Lisa and I were talking about doing film and how much we liked that. And she was telling me she had done her documentary filmed it on Zoom. And so that opened the door, and I started doing some exploring. And I thought, okay, that's one avenue I can cover. Now I can, interview on Zoom. So, it might seem like an odd thing to come out of the pandemic pause, but it did open a doorway that was preventing me from being able to do the documentary.
Well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I see you have a question that has popped up on the side there. Would this be a good time to take a question break?
Sure.
Okay, do you want to read it? I might have to take my glasses off.
I think I can read it.
Okay.
And it's Ray, Ray Peterson asking, is there a common experience that brings on the transformation, or was each person's experience unique? I feel like each person's experience was unique, but it was at a time when I think each of them were looking for help. Each of them had something in their life that needed transformed. And so I think that was kind of, if you want to say, even though each story was different, each person was at a place where they were looking, looking for help.
All right. Well, to move on here, what would you say were some of your biggest challenges in making this film?
That's a good question because there were a lot of challenges, and a lot of them seemed, huge at the time. So one of the biggest things was that I was a novice. I had created some shorter videos, but never anything on this scale. And I had to completely teach myself the video editing program that I was using. I didn't know anyone else using that program. I couldn't even find an online class to take for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent hours and hours watching instructional videos on YouTube, and reading online manuals. And, one of the hardest things was there were times I didn't even know the correct wording or language. So I was trying to search something and it would be so frustrating because I couldn't find an answer. And, after much, trouble trying to do that, I would realize I was using the wrong language. Plus, I had no real production equipment. My laptop, is just my everyday kind of mediocre laptop. I didn't have special cameras or microphones. Another big thing was the editing of the interviews, because each woman was so powerful in what they were saying, and I had to cut the interviews down to fit the time format that I, wanted to get everything into. And so it took me listening over and over and over again. And it was just so hard to cut anything. So that was a big challenge. I have learned that there's a really big art to editing, and the organization. I already knew I had it divided into 5 categories, but who was going to speak first in that category? Was there something that flowed naturally, in order? And it seemed to me like occasionally I would find like a pattern that should flow in a particular direction. But eventually, I was just trying to give each woman a chance to be the first speaker in each category. Though I will say that one of the women in the film, Carrie Lake, she had said something so beautiful that when I listened to that, I knew it was the perfect ending for the film. Like the way she worded that was just perfect. I was like so pleased when I figured that out. So every aspect of editing, whether it was doing color correction, um, or the bigger things, organizing and editing out, particular clips, it was difficult. Also, I was like doing some traveling back and forth between two states during the, most intense parts of editing. And so that threw me off a little bit
Mhm.
going back and forth. And then I was trying to keep my Soul Creativity show, which also airs on this channel, going the whole time. And that takes quite a bit of work. Not so much when you're talking to someone, that's, the ending um, phase of this whole scenario going on behind the scenes, but I have to locate speakers, scheduling, a lot of administrative work. And so I didn't want to give up on that because that particular show is also really important to me. And so I was trying to keep both of these going. I spent, I had to give up doing pretty much anything else. Most of my day was spent in front of the computer, sometimes in tears, trying to figure out what I was doing. And really, other creative projects just had to go to the back of the line.
Mm. Sounds like a lot of juggling.
It was.
Did you get any kind of funding or sponsorship coming to you in order to make it?
What a nice thought. No, that would have been really wonderful, but no.
Well, then, you didn't have money support? Where did your moral support come from?
I'd say, a good bit of it just came from inside myself because I really, really wanted to do this project. I did for a long time. And so I had to keep, pulling from inside, myself to keep going. But, I did have a few very supportive friends that kept me going, you being one along the way. And then the women in the film, and I wasn't really expecting this at first because I was editing, but they really became a support system through their interviews. And so there were days when I thought, I just cannot do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't get it the way I want. And I would be editing film, listening to those interviews. And every time there'd be something in there that would just be exactly what I needed to hear. It would be so inspirational. And so, really, you wouldn't believe how many times that happened, or I probably told you about it before, but it would be, I want to give up, and somebody would say something, and I'd be there. Oh, I have to get this out there. This is really good, and then it would start being, you can do this, one step at a time, one day at a time. So those were really, some of my best support systems.
Well, okay, so I have another support question coming from another angle. And I know from your newsletter blog that you have been writing about having as a creative muse um, Jim Morrison of the rock group The Doors. Um, since this is a thing that you've been aware of for a time, that as a source for inspiration, did you feel that was guiding any part of the project, the Jim Morrison sensibility?
That's a really great question. And the answer is yes. I really feel like, his energy was very motivating to me. Um, it also helped me explore unknown territory. So, it might have not been so much in the editing part, but really the motivation and the appreciation of the art form. And when he was here, Jim actually embodied what I'm calling now the courageous, multi-creative archetype. And he was, a writer, a poet, a lyricist, filmmaker, and into other artistic endeavors. He was a visionary, and artistic expression was really important to him. And it's really important to me, but I feel like I had to be that same, embody that same archetype to create the documentary. So a lot of times, I say he traveled back and forth with me between states because, his book, the book that came out, not long ago, the collective works of Jim Morrison. It's a big, thick book, which is actually behind me on the shelf there. But I lugged it back and forth because anytime I needed some inspiration, I would look through it and I would find a line or two or a poem or lyric that really got me through it. So a long answer to your question is yes.
No, I mean you're lucky you had Jim in your corner.
Yeah.
Like, could you describe a few of your favorite moments from the interviews that you did for the documentary?
Yes, there were a lot of favorite moments. As I was interviewing the women, I was so filled with inspiration. And as I was listening, I would be thinking, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is going to be perfect for the documentary. This is going to really, inspire and encourage viewers. And I think some of my favorite parts were when whoever I was interviewing got really animated and really enthusiastic. I just enjoyed that so much. And when I saw those parts, I was thinking that needs to go in the film. And I will say that each woman that spoke, you could just see the passion. You could hear it and feel it. And that's one of the reasons I like the documentary format, rather than me just writing these stories down, is that I think, when the viewer hears and sees that, it ignites, that passion in the person. So there were some of mine. Each story is a different path, but it's all under the same theme. And I just feel like the documentary is just full of gems. When people listen to it, I really feel like, they're going to pick up all these little gems throughout.
That kind of sounds to me like writing a book on film, on
Yeah.
video. What is it that you hope that people take away from this film?
Mm, that's another good question. I really hope people are inspired, um, inspired to honor their own creativity and encouraged, motivated. I hope they're curious. Um, Again, the main thing, I want people to know that the divine spark is within them and that they're not separate from the divine, and that that's where our creativity comes from. And there are people that I meet sometimes that don't think they're creative. And I think if people can tap into that spark, if they can find that spark within and acknowledge it and honor it, they're going to find that their creativity, because really our creativity, our deep creativity is sacred and it comes from the divine and we all have it. We just have to know that it's there. And I want them to know that they can bring about the transformation they're seeking. It might be something they need to do in their own life or their, personal experience, but also, that's powerful to have that divine spark within you. And so you can transform your own life, you can transform your family, your communities, and eventually the world. So I think that that's really important. Um, I think anyone who listens to the film, because the stories are all a little different, under the same theme, but there's going to be a story that resonates with you. You know, you're going to hear something and you're going to be, oh, wow, that's exactly the way I felt. Or that happened to me. Or I know exactly how you feel. The stories are varied enough that there's something for everyone there. And then something that just struck me recently, and I hope this is a takeaway, but I realized at first I was a little disappointed the film wasn't done earlier. You know, I was trying to keep to an earlier schedule, and then I thought we're getting into the holiday season. Now I realize it's right timing. It's the perfect time right before we go into 2022, because 2022 is going to be a year of creative action. You know, we've gone through the pandemic pause, we had that time to reflect. Um, and then we were going through, and we're still going through, a period of revelation where we can see inside ourselves and our own lives and in our communities, families, in the world. You know, we're getting revelation after revelation of what's not working. And that just opens the door for this sacred, creative, you know, fire bringing energy. And to know that we have the possibility of now creating the world that we want to live in, that we want to see, again, whether it's just, you know, in our own little space, but it grows from there. So I really feel like it's perfect timing to talk about that spark within, and talk about, you know, being a fire bringer and creating from that divine spark. So I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with that after I thought about it. And so I hope people realize that as they hear it. I hope it motivates them for 2022 to, you know, think I can do this. So,
I agree with that. After all of this pandemic stuff, we all need something
mhm.
for definitely. You have another comment, Karen. Do you know Carrie Lake?
Yeah, Carrie is one of the fire bringers in the film. And so I see her message. Thank you, Carrie. I can't wait for the film to premiere tomorrow, and I'm hoping that you get to watch it early on and see what a wonderful job you did.
That's great. You were talking before about your Soul Creativity series. You have this YouTube channel that we'll be talking on now. So, what other kinds of videos do you have on there?
Well, I think most of the material, I would say, probably falls into an inspirational category. I'm really concerned with like putting out conscious content, and something that's really important to me and that I want to keep exploring, which is why I love film, writing, you know, the arts, is conscious entertainment. And so I want to keep exploring that. So my Soul Creativity series, you know, it's creators, artists, highly sensitive creators and creatresses. And I think I have the most videos in that category. I did create playlists, so you know it's easy to find them. That's a really important, you know, endeavor, creative endeavor I'm working on right now. But there's also a tab or a playlist for creative writing resources, and I really want to build on that. Again, looking at it also from an angle of conscious entertainment. There is a meditation video, and I have a category called amusing shorts that just has one video in it now. But I hope to grow all those categories.
Great. Now, suppose we all tune in and catch the film tomorrow. The viewers who enjoy the film and who want to comment and ask you questions about it, is there a way for them to do that on your YouTube channel here?
Yeah, you can comment right under the video. So I really encourage anyone that does uh, watch the movie to comment. I love getting viewer comments. And I know a lot of times people hesitate to share. I've done that myself. I've wanted to make a comment and think, oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't, or a lot of people already commented. But I know for me, and I've heard this from other people with YouTube channels or putting work out there, the comments are really important. So I would encourage everyone to comment, and I will definitely be reading um, every comment. And if there's a comment for one of the women in the film, there is a way at the end of the film in the closing credits to see their email addresses.
Oh,
But
great.
if there's a comment for one of the women, I'll be sure that that gets passed on to them. And then if anybody had anything more specific or a question, something that they didn't want to post, my email address is on my YouTube site, but I can give it to you now. It's navenlizon@gmail.com. That's navenlizon@gmail.com. And I check that regularly. So that's another good way to reach me. And I always love, I love when people reach out and hearing from other people.
Well, this was quite the project that you pulled off. So congratulations also from me. Also, you got another comment. It's Ray again. Again, I can't see that far. Can you read it?
The production quality of the video from the trailer looks great. I'm so glad he said that, because when I uploaded the film, the actual documentary, to YouTube, it took over 2 hours to upload.
Wow.
I mean, the good thing is it's there. I just have to, set it as public. But I've never done anything that long, so I am concerned. And as I was researching and teaching myself to video edit, I had been reading, that sometimes there's sound issues, or um, doesn't come across clear. And I know in my video editing program, really the sound and the color and everything was pretty crisp. And so I hope that not much of that is lost when you're doing a long film. And yeah, I thought that the trailer turned out pretty good, Ray, as well, considering, some of the things that I was reading.
So you did it. That is just awesome.
Thank you.
I think that we are getting close to that time, aren't we?
Yeah, we just have a few minutes to wrap it up. So I want to thank you again. I'm really encouraging everyone to watch the film, because I think you'll find it inspirational. Like I said, I think there's going to be things in there that resonate with you. I think you'll find it encouraging, and motivating. And I think you'll start, if you don't feel that spark within right now, you will definitely start connecting with it once you watch the film. That's a comment, I don't know if you see it, Laurie, from Barbara Maloney. And she is saying, so excited to see the documentary. I can tell it's a true labor of love. Thank you, Barb. It definitely is a labor of love. And I am blood, sweat, and tears, as I said. But I'm just so excited it's done. And I really hope that people catch the fire and let it burn inside them as well.
Well, I'm ready to be burnt a little bit.
And I want to encourage people to share the film. If you have anyone in your life that you think might benefit from seeing it, or that's going through a tough time, is looking to do some type of transformation in their life, or just wants to serve the greater good in some way, I think you're going to find, those gems in the film to help you through.
Great.
Help you through that. So I think, Laurie, do you have any other questions?
No, just how's your throat holding up?
My friend, oddly enough, I thought, I would run into some problems, but it's doing okay. So I think we can start wrapping it up. I do want to mention next week's show is still in the planning stages, and that would be the last week for this year. Actually, I can't believe I'm saying that. And so Soul Creativity will be, on a break until after the new year. And And then I'll be back with hopefully some of the Firebringers will be coming on to talk to viewers, and some really exciting guests coming up in the new year too. And I can see Carrie left a message, and she said, "Thank you both for sharing your hearts and sharing the love." Thank you
Ah,
so much, Carrie. And
thank you.
I just love you and love everything you shared in the film. So I want to thank you so much, Laurie, for agreeing to do this and putting on that journalist cap again. I know you usually bury deep in your poetry, so I really appreciate you taking the break too.
Well, thank you. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Right. Another adventure for us. So, all right. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. Please catch the documentary tomorrow and send me your comments. And until next show, bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Laurie. Thank you.
Thank you.